Welcome, and today we're going to be doing a couple different things. We will be, number one, masking an image, and number two, doing a very basic 3 marker blend. I'm using Express It blending card. I love Express It. It is very smooth, no tooth. And your Copic markers will just glide right over. We have an adorable stamp set by Winnie and Walter, and this is called Sugar Rush. We're going to be stamping our image with Memento. This is a very safe ink to use for any of your alcohol ink markers, and I'm doing this particular one in Sweet Plum. Now on this image we're going to be needing to mask the image, because as we stamp the pedestal we're going to notice that the back of the pedestal would cut right through our cake, and you really don't want that line going through there. So I stamped another image and I trimmed it, cut that cake out, and I'm using it as a mask. You can use a post-it note, or you can use very thin paper such as copy paper. You'll just want to make sure it's thin. Or my very favorite, which is a post-it labeling removable tape. On this one I'm just using a lightweight paper. You will definitely want it lightweight so that you don't have that big bump when you go to stamp over it. So we placed our cake over the top, careful to align everything, and now just stamp as you would normally right over the top. You see where the back of the pedestal line shows, but when you take off your mask you have a perfect cake resting on the pedestal, and that line is left on your mask. You can take that mask and put it in your package with your stamp and use it again and again. Now we're going to be doing the dimensional coloring really only on the cake. And we're going to be starting with a V91, and that's a very light color. It will be my highlight. Many times I tell you to just saturate the paper initially with your lightest color. It does improve blending, but on my particular image I really want to have my light source coming from the very front of the cake and the center. And I want to make sure that it isn't going to be too dark. So I'm going to leave that area white just in the beginning, and then I will go over that with my highlight. But for right now we're using a flicking motion like you would a check mark. Just wrist activity, flicking from the darker area to your highlight. This can be a short motion or a long motion, but keep it with the side of your brush rather than the tip of your brush. We used our mid-tone, and now we're going to darken the area. The other was just mapping where we wanted those shadow areas. So now I'm going over it with my very darkest shadow, my V95. You can always use more colors, but for a basic tutorial today, I just wanted to show you 3 color blending. Again, flicking from the outer edge toward the highlight, but not very far, because I like to keep about 70% of my image in mid-tone. And you flick your mid-tone, my V93, from the outer edge of where the shadow leaves off, and again toward the highlight, careful not to cover the highlight. And now we're flicking the highlight just gently on both sides toward the highlight. Avoid going over the highlight multiple times. Every time you go over, you will lay down particle. It will darken your highlight, even though it's the same color. Now I'm darkening my shadow. Many times I like to rework and get more and more contrast. And I like to go over each image about at least 2 times, but sometimes I get obsessive and go over it 3 and 4. Just working my image until I'm happy with it. Flicking out with my mid-tone from the inner edge of that shadow toward my highlight. One thing I like to avoid is going over the very darkest too much with my light, because you will move color and it can get blotchy. So at the very end I go over this with my lightest highlight, but I keep it a very light touch, and I only do it like once at the very end. Thank you for watching. Stamp up some images, give it a try, and come back soon.